Yeah, what you have to know is that you literally have to rewire your brain. Your brain will decide what to look at. Your reticular activating system is what does that. Another important thing is that you didn't choose to have a fearful avoidant attachment style. Our attachment styles get given to us. We don't get to choose them. We're joined by Morgan Ford, who had some questions about avoidant attachment and relationships. And so,
well, I think the biggest thing on my mind has been like, how do I know if it's just my avoidant attachment speaking or if I'm genuinely not interested in somebody? And how do I differentiate the two?
what is an avoidant attachment?
That I want closeness, but I'm afraid of getting hurt because of that closeness. So I'd rather just distance myself than be vulnerable.
So when you start to get close to somebody, what happens inside of you? What do you feel? Where does your brain go?
I don't want them to get too close. I don't want them to learn too much about me that could change their mind, or I don't want to be lied to. So I think a lot of it is like just fear.
So is it fear of being hurt? Is it fear of being left? What's the fear of? They're not going to like, if I'm going to let them in and then they're not going to like me, they're not going to like what they get to know.
I think all of the above, yes, but probably like the biggest driving fear for me is like fear of losing my independence and fear of like letting someone have power over me.
Okay.
That scares me, yeah.
So does your brain start thinking about like, they're going to want to control what I do, who I talk to, my friends, they're going to want to spend all their time with me?
Well, it's like that, but also I get nervous because whenever I put myself in a relationship, like something changes up here to where like I'm also putting those rules on myself. Like I need to hear from them 24/7. I need to, it's like weird. I feel like when I'm in a relationship, I'm actually very anxious, but like getting up to that point, I'm very avoidant.
So really slow to get into a relationship. And then once you care about somebody, then you start becoming more anxious.
Yeah, and I hate that feeling of like needing to depend on someone so much that I'd rather just not even go there at all.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the difference between fearful avoidant and dismissive avoidant. Because some of what you're talking about sounds like a little bit more like fearful avoidant than dismissive avoidant. The fearful avoidant rule book develops or attachment style, and it's also super important to understand that attachment style is a belief system about mattering. Do I expect to matter to the important people in my life, and do I expect to be safe there? Do I believe that relationships are safe, and do I expect people to be available to me and sensitive to me? That's what the crux of an attachment style is, and so the fearful avoidant belief system develops when there's a history of trauma. Sometimes that trauma can be big. You know, it can be like a really ugly divorce that somebody goes through or that parents went through, or abuse. It can be a series of little betrayal trauma. But the core fear of the fearful avoidant is betrayal. And what's at the heart of that is this belief that just as soon as I get attached to you, I'm going to get attached to you, I'm going to let you in, and then you're going to pull the rug out from under me. That's when you're going to reveal the fact that you really don't care about me, or I'm really not safe with you. There's this fear that when somebody's being nice to you, when somebody's wanting to pursue you and wanting to be in a relationship with you, there's this fear in the fearful avoidant brain that it's a setup. You're trying to suck me in, and then you're gonna hurt me. That's the core emotional process for the fearful avoidant. And so fearful avoidants then do this. Remember, if you think about attachment as avoidance and anxious, those are the two variables. And fearful avoidants are high on anxiety and high on avoidance. And so that's kind of why my brain went there, because it sounds like you're approaching relationships trying to protect yourself from getting attached. But then once you are attached, then the anxiety comes in. And so then you've got that high avoidance and high anxiety. And so the fearful avoidant usually will take whatever position their partner isn't taking. So if the fearful avoidant is in a relationship with somebody avoidant, then they tend to act and look like somebody with an anxious attachment rule book. They pursue, they need lots of reassurance, they're continuously kind of doubting their standing, and they kind of look anxious. That the anxiety side of the equation is high. If they're with somebody who is pursuing and who is more anxious, then the fearful avoidant will typically go into the avoidant side of things, and they'll be creating space. They'll be trying to protect themselves from getting too close. And so then when you're in a relationship with somebody who's fearful avoidant, you get this dance of pursue and withdraw, and it can be really confusing to know what the rules are. And internally it can be the same. It's like, well, one day I really want to be close to this person and I'm trying to connect. And then the next day my brain's like, ugh. I don't want to be by them at all, because your brain is trying to do both. It's trying to connect and create and foster the relationship and not lose control of yourself, because there's that fear that, and it's really interesting, Morgan, the research shows it doesn't matter if a relationship is like 6 months old or literally 30 years old. If somebody maintains that fearful avoidant belief system, they still will be waiting for the other shoe to drop. We've got all these kids together and we've done this whole life, and there's still this fear that any moment now you're going to leave, and you're going to it's all been a setup. You've been playing a role. You've stayed with me because of the kids. Whatever the thought process is, it's this fear that it's this elaborate setup that could be taken away from me at any time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It's funny because I feel like the more invested that I get with someone, the more reasons they would have to hurt me or betray me. And that's why, in my mind, it's just better to keep you here, because then the less baggage that we have, the less history that we have, the less memories, whatever.
The easier the breakup's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because, like, there was a couple years ago where, like, for 5 consecutive years, I was in a relationship. Like, I would just bounce, and each of my partners were very avoidant. And then that's when, like, I get those feelings of
pursuit,
like desperation.
Yeah.
And now that I've backed away from dating, all I seem to attract are very anxious partners.
Because you're being more avoidant. Yeah. Well, and so let's talk about how the dismissive avoidant works. So if you go back to the continuum, dismissive avoidants are high on avoidance and low on anxiety. The emotional response to closeness is to feel smothered. And so dismissive avoidant people build walls. They're very slow to trust. They are like Teflon. They don't want or let anybody they don't want anybody to, and they don't let anybody to get attached, because they don't trust, they don't believe that relationships are safe. And so dismissive avoidants cycle through relationships faster than anybody else, because as soon as a relationship starts to be to a point where it's logical to be taking the next steps, that's when the dismissive avoidant brain is looking for, feeling smothered. You're going to want to move in. You're going to want to have sex with me all the time. You're going to want to control my money. You're going to want to control what I do with my time, or what I study, or where I work, or whatever. And the dismissive avoidant brain perceives closeness as smothering. And so the brain automatically starts to look for reasons to create space. Thinking about past relationships, becoming hypercritical of the person they're with. Oh, I don't like the way that he chews, or look at how he dresses, or the brain will automatically just start looking for reasons to create space. And so there's typically not the anxiety that you're talking about with an avoidant rule book, because as soon as somebody starts to get close, the avoidant rule book is like, smothered and trying to detach.
Can you have being hypercritical of your partner as a fearful avoidant as well? Because I feel like I like do that all the time. As I find the smallest things wrong with people, I get the ick like so fast, and it's so hard for me to like move past that once it happens. And the last like couple of guys that I've dated, it's happened every time.
Yeah. So that if that comes if you have a fearful avoidant attachment style, that's that swinging, and it's the reason for that would be driven by this fear of being hurt, this fear of getting attached, and then having your heart broken. If it were being driven by a dismissive avoidant belief system, it would just be, I don't want to be close. It wouldn't be, there's not that fear with the dismissive that I'm going to get attached and then you're going to pull the rug out from under me. There's like, no, relationships can't be trusted. Why? Independence is the way to go. Why would you let somebody in? It's not a good idea. They're just going to leave anywhere. They're just going to do something. And so there's like this dismissive component to it where if it's being driven by fearful avoidant beliefs, it's like, no, if I get attached, then you're going to betray me. You're going to reveal your true colors.
Which makes sense, because I still have the desire to be close with somebody. Like, it's not that I want to be alone for the rest of my life, but also I would prefer to be alone than give someone the power to hurt me.
Okay. So what do you do about it? That's probably the most important question there. I mean, and understanding what's going on is typically really powerful in being able to take the next step of being able to do something about it. But really, you're in a situation where your brain is working against you. The subconscious beliefs that you have are decreasing the likelihood of getting what you ultimately want to get, right? And that's the bummer of the position that you're in. So what do you do about it?
Well, just based off of things that you've said before, like, it's hard to fix relationship problems when you're not in a relationship. So
one of the biggest,
I've like been trying to avoid relationships at all costs and just work on me, just let this be a me thing. But yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Tough to live a relationship by yourself.
More peaceful.
It's only more peaceful than an unhealthy relationship.
True.
And that's a really good point too, that the best and healthiest place for us as human beings is in a healthy relationship.
But like, I guess that's the hard part about being an avoidant, is like
trusting that.
You just don't think that exists.
Yeah.
If you find yourself in a healthy relationship, it's like, well, I'm just waiting.
Your brain's working against you, right?
Yeah.
So to change that, a few things are required to change that. One is you have to understand what's going on, and you have to understand what healthy looks like, and then you have to practice being healthy. You have to practice because what the core issue with attachment style is that you have a subconscious rule book. You have a subconscious set of beliefs that sabotages you finding and creating and maintaining a healthy relationship. So your brain subconsciously is working against you changing your unhealthy beliefs. And so it's really important to understand that. And then you've got to know what healthy looks like. And so what does healthy look like in a relationship?
You have someone that's sensitive and available to you when you need them.
Yeah. Yeah. The attachment system is really pretty simple. Every single one of us comes into life with a really simple code that works really well before it gets screwed up. The problem is that if it does get screwed up, it typically gets screwed up before we even realize that it's been screwed up. Yeah, it's the code is when we become the job of the attachment system. So let's clarify that a little bit. The attachment, every single one of us has a system in the brain. It's called the attachment system, and the job of the attachment system is to take us from a disorganized emotional state back to an organized or a reorganized emotional state. That's what the attachment system is supposed to do. And the reason why that's important is because we as human beings are propelled toward development. And we develop, or we progress through exploration. It's easiest to see this in very young kids or toddlers. How does a little girl develop?
Your experience.
Yeah, they develop through exploration. They pick everything up and they put things in their mouths and they climb on things and they feel things. And it's through physical exploration that we develop during those first few years of life. Right? Mm-hmm. And as we develop, as we age, that exploration becomes increasingly cognitive. And in adulthood, most of our exploration is exploring thoughts and ideas, theories and beliefs, but it's still through exploration that we develop. Well, what happens to exploration when we become disorganized emotionally, when we get scared or hurt or whatever?
It stops.
So think about a little kid. A little kid's playing and he or she gets hurt. What do? Do they
to their mom?
Yeah, they don't keep playing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Play is a form of exploration. So they're playing with Legos or they're doing something to develop some new skills, and something happens that they get hurt or scared or something. That exploration ceases and they go to their attachment figure looking for help in getting reorganized. Right? They go crying to mom. Exploration stops when we become disorganized emotionally. That is what activates the attachment system. The attachment system gets turned on when we become disorganized emotionally. We're scared, we're hurt, we're lonely, we're sad, somebody's getting too close, and positive things as well. When the attachment system gets activated, that's when your subconscious beliefs dictate what you do. And so when the fearful avoidant attachment system gets activated, your brain simultaneously tries to connect and avoid at the same time. And so you can only do both of those things for so long before you run into a problem. And you can't both maintain distance and closeness at the same time, right? And so then your brain tries to choose, but your belief system says, I don't want to choose. I want both. I don't want to depend on anybody, and I want to be loved and feel safe and feel like I matter to somebody. And you can't do both. And so then your brain is like, and it tries to do this and it tries to do that, and you end up doing neither, right? You end up stuck. So when it's working well, you get disorganized, you vulnerably turn toward the attachment figure. When he or she responds with sensitivity and availability, they catch you, then you're supposed to get reorganized emotionally and return to exploration. Again, you see this all the time with little kids, right? They're playing, they get hurt, they go crying to mom. Mom takes him in her arms, gives him a hug and a kiss, kisses the boo-boo or whatever. And then the kid gets reorganized and then goes and plays again. The attachment system has done its job. That's what it's supposed to do. When that happens with you, what happens? You start to get close to somebody. You're feeling anxious. What does your brain say?
The distance. I can't trust this.
Right. And so then what do?
Run.
Yeah. And then what do you end up getting?
Neither connection.
Yeah.
And only distance.
Right.
But I guess that's what's confusing though. Is it because do you just have to have enough experiences of someone being available and sensitive to you to slowly over time trust it?
Yep. What you have to know is that you literally have to rewire your brain.
Right.
You literally have to rewire it. And that takes a lot of repetitions. And so what you have to do is know what healthy looks like, and then force yourself, because your brain will be telling you, this is dumb, what are you doing? Don't be vulnerable, don't trust, what are you doing? He's a jerk, he's not safe, he's going to pull the rug out from under you. Your brain will be telling you, screaming, woo, woo, don't do this. And so you've got to override all those warning signals that are trying to make you be unhealthy relationally in order to give your brain a chance to rewire.
Which makes sense, but because I understand the way that my brain works too, that I look for things that confirm what I already know.
Yes.
And I remember in one of your videos, you talked about how, like, if you show up for your partner 85% of the time, then you can still be a secure base. But what if that 15%, my brain looks at that as confirmation? Like, see, I told you.
Yeah, blows up that. So another really cool thing, and I like how you even said it, understanding that your brain, that you have the ability to direct your brain, right? Your brain will want to punctuate that 15% instead of the 85. But who gets to decide what you focus on? Yeah, I mean, look out your window right now. What do you see?
A lake and trees and a house.
Okay, look at one of the trees.
Okay.
How many leaves are on it?
It's like a pine tree.
Oh, needles.
So it's just branches.
Okay.
Needles.
How many needles do you think are on there? Huh?
Millions.
Yeah. Yeah. Could you look at one specific branch of that tree?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can if you want to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you just look out your window, your brain will decide what to look at. Your reticular activating system is what does that. There's way more data points just outside your door there than your brain can take in at once. So most of the time, the reticular activating system is deciding which of those data points it's going to punctuate. And it filters everything else out. And if you decide what to focus on, your brain will go where you direct it. And so if you want to direct it toward signs that you're safe in a relationship, signs that you matter, signs that he cares, signs that he's looking out for you, are those data points likely there?
Yeah.
Yeah. If they're not there, what do?
Don't stay.
Yes. Well, almost. If they're not there, you first take steps to find out if he's willing to fix that. And that's how you know whether this is your attachment style sabotaging, or whether this is a bad situation that you should get away from.
But now, being on the other side of it, like as a secure partner dating an avoidant, isn't that like a lot of pressure for them? Like they feel like they have to be on it all the time and be available.
Okay, do you see what your brain's trying to do? What's your brain trying to do right there?
Find fault and flaws.
Yeah, your brain's trying to find justification. Your brain's trying to say, yeah, but being in a relationship with me, if I'm fearful avoidant, is going to make somebody want to run, which is reconfirming. Your brain's trying to reconfirm the fact that if you get attached to somebody and they find out that you're fearful avoidant, they're going to pull the rug out from under you. Your brain's trying to reinforce the belief system there.
Right. But what if I like know this about my partner and he's also very willing and open to talk about acceptance style as well. And I'm like, hey, listen, I really struggle with this. I need you or whatever. Like,
absolutely
not feel any type of way? Or do secure people look at that as like, oh, good, I get chances to like get closer to you?
It depends. I mean, you absolutely want to have that open dialogue. And another important thing is that you didn't choose to have a fearful avoidant attachment style. Our attachment styles get given to us. We don't get to choose them. It's not our fault. Whatever your attachment style is, if it's a good one or a bad one, a healthy one or an unhealthy one, you didn't get to choose it. I have a secure attachment style. I'm really grateful that I do, and I didn't do anything to get it.
Now, can I be raised up in an attachment style and then like find myself in a relationship so bad that it can?
You can. Yeah, you can. Most people, attachment style gets set by age 3, and for most people it never changes because of these same things that we're talking about. We continue to engage in relationships in ways that get us what we expect, and we continue to choose people subconsciously that give us what we expect. And there, you can go through traumatic events that can rewire your attachment style. And you can also intentionally rewire. But let me go back to your question just a second ago. So what you want to do is to have an open dialogue about that and say, hey, I understand I have this fearful avoidant belief system, and it is going to want to sabotage in these ways. I really like you. I want to be healthy in this relationship and I'm willing to work on it. Are you, but I also understand that means that, there's going to be some pressure and some challenges that might make it a little harder for you to progress in a relationship with me. Are you up for that? Because you need somebody who is willing to work with you as you rewrite your brain.
Right.
And there are people who are willing to do that. In order for you to have the kind of relationship that you really want, and it's really awesome that you've got the insight to recognize that your brain is sabotaging. And you got to be careful, because the other thing that can happen a lot of times is you can get the insight of like, oh yeah, I see what's going on and I recognize what I need. But then your brain can subconsciously still choose people who will give you what you expect. And that can be even more dangerous, because then your brain can say, I tried. I was aware. I got into the dating market and look what happened. And your brain can find the data to reconfirm, instead of saying, okay, yeah, so I need to make sure that I'm looking for the right thing here.
Right.
And
that makes sense.
And handling that well. And it's really cool. I think you're well poised to take the steps to rewire this. And I think you need to. I mean, you don't want to be in an unhealthy relationship. And you also don't want to not be in a healthy relationship.
And I think that's what I'm struggling with right now, is like, I'm just like starting to get back out there.
as you're in your van in the middle of nowhere in Canada. Right. You're like right in the thick of it right now. You're right.
This is me trying.
No, this is you. This is you confirming that it doesn't work.
But that's what I've been running into, is like, as I have started to put my trust in people or relationships, even if it's just a little bit, without fail, the last 2 or 3 guys that I've talked to, I come to a dead end with them. Like, I'm just like, well, you're boring, or I don't like you, or I'm not interested in you. Even though you're a good guy, you seem like you could be a secure person for me, I'm just not interested. So I get conflicted, because I'm like, is that just my avoidant trying to run me off, or is it I'm just genuinely not interested in these men?
Yeah, I would encourage you to go a little further down the road and find out. So if you get to that point, relationships tend to just dwindle with avoidance, because you're not taking the steps to increase the connection. And so then you're like, yeah, we've been out several times and it's not really going anywhere. Well, that's because you're not doing things to escalate the relationship. And so then you share more, you take steps to find out more about them. You find, you progress things along by increasing vulnerability on your side and inviting vulnerability on his side, and finding out, because dating is all about assessment, right? Mm-hmm. And in general, you want to first assess whether or not there are any deal breakers, and you need to know what your deal breakers are. Those might be, a different religion. They might be, they could be a personality type or temperament type. You may know that you don't want to be with whatever you know that the deal breakers are. You first want to assess the deal breakers, and then after that, it's about assessing fit, health and fit. And so, if you think that he's boring, find out if he's interested in doing exciting things that you think are adventurous or exciting. And so you push it to make further assessment, because your brain, your subconscious rule book will lead you to dead ends. And so then you've got to find the trap door, the secret door, to open that and go into the next room.
Something that came into my mind, and sorry, I feel like I could talk about this forever, but like, with avoidance, do they tend to have the mindset that the grass is always greener? Yeah. Like, I can always find someone better. Yeah. Because I feel like I run into that a lot too, of just like, not because I am the cream's crop, but I just always feel like
you're a pretty good catch.
Someone out there. I'm a pretty good catch. Don't feed my ego. but I just always feel like now I can find someone that's more intelligent. I can find someone that's more adventurous. I can find someone more whatever.
Totally. And that is very much, because remember what the avoidant part of your brain is trying to do is to find a reason to create space. That's what the subconscious, you're again looking out your door there, right? Looking for the data that says, yeah, this is a good reason to create space. That's a good reason to create space. Yep, that's a good reason. Look how dumb he is. Look how whatever, your brain will do that. Where the anxious brain does just the opposite. The anxious brain holds on to relationships too long because they think, well, this might be as good as it gets. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And so the anxious rule book says, hold on to whatever you've got, even if it's super dysfunctional, even if you're unhappy, even if you're lonely in this relationship, because this might be your only chance, or this might be as good as it gets. And the avoidant brain does just the opposite. It's like, this could be really good, but wow, what if I could find somebody who already had, $1 million in the account, or what if I could find somebody who, so because subconsciously, that's why you got to go back to the belief system and understand what your brain is trying to do. Because if you do that, then you can navigate that. So be courageous. You understand what's going on. Give yourself a chance to get what it is that you want. And perhaps most important to all of this, or one of the most important pieces, is understanding the subjective nature of our brains. I had somebody the other day say something really insightful. They said, I didn't realize that the voice in my head was me. And we don't tend to think like that. We tend to give authority to the voice in our head. And the things that voice says. You can't do that. You're dumb. Nobody's going to like you. Relationships aren't safe. You're not good enough for this. You're not good enough. A lot of times, a lot of people don't recognize that that's just you. And we like ascribe all of this authority to that voice as if it were the truth. Mm-hmm. And when you recognize that that is just you telling yourself lies, because of the subjective nature of how the brain works, all the brain is a neurological network that has been wired together to travel down certain beliefs and paths, and it can be rewired. And so when you recognize that, then you can stop just blindly following your rule book, and you can start dictating, of those needles outside your door, of those branches, which ones am I going to focus on? And you can absolutely take control of where you go from here. If you're ready to do something about your attachment style and to rewrite your unhealthy beliefs, your dysfunctional beliefs, check out our Core Advantage program. We've got tons of resources and tons of help to help you rewrite your rule book and get the life and relationship that you want. Check out some of these other videos about attachment.